to talk, don't feel free to like ask.
Yeah. Also, if you have like any interjections, do you have any like anything to add to like what I say? Feel free to like add. I really don't care at all. Like, it's whatever for me. So, what I want to talk about here is kind of the uniqueness, I guess, of the Swift UI, like creation development. Just because you have like things like Android Studio, which are pretty similar, but as far as like Android and Xcode, like it's a different like perspective to creating UI, whereas like you're creating it in like a very visual place, like a very visual like and like artsy kind of like fashion, rather than like, you know, the usual like developing and coding, like programming like a UI interface. So I'm gonna go through both, and like the pros of the pros of programming an interface, and the pros of like using what they call Storyboard, which is an Xcode to develop an interface, and kind of, you know, flip-flop between the differences. So when you open up an Xcode project, this is the first thing you'll see. So I like literally just made this. And so what you want to go to first for creating like a interface is the Main Storyboard. And so this is if you're doing it like just very visually. And so what you'll start off is you'll get this very same screen. It's just what they call, this is called the view controller. And this can be used, this is primarily like your phone screen. This is like starting phone screen, what you're going to see when you first open your application, and you can go from there. What you have here is a pointer arrow, and this points to your the first view controller that your app will project. Hopefully everyone can see. I think I can zoom in. Okay. I wonder if I can make this bigger. Probably not. Okay. Anyway. So the easiest way to start off is to go to this right top button. This usually like changes around. Like this used to be down here at one point, and now it's up here. Yeah, it's a big pain. They always move this around. So like, you know, if you can't find it, just like look around. You'll eventually find it. And so this here is like kind of like a dictionary of all the tools you can put into the storyboard. And so like if I want to put like a button, I just type in button, and then you can literally just drag this onto the storyboard, and then you can name it button. Sorry, it's already named button. I didn't want to rename it button. But so then you can put it here. And the cool thing with storyboard is that there are things called constraints. And so constraints are a way to fix a certain object, like a button, onto the phone's view. But the unique part is that every phone screen is different. And so you really don't know you don't have like a pixel to pixel ratio, because every phone screen is a different size, there's a different amount of pixels, things like that. So Apple comes up with a generic constraint function to allow you to like account for different screen sizes, and you use ratios opposed to like this is at pixel 200 in the X direction and 300 in the Y direction. It's a little different, and it's actually really nice. So a constraint kind of basis thing would be here. You could what you would do here. I haven't done this in forever. I've been doing programmatic. All right, sorry, one sec. And so you come to this bottom right corner and hit Add New Constraints. And just like a simple, easy way to do it would probably, you could do either like the actual physical location of it with pixels, which you just highlight these, and then you can constrain it into the middle, or you can come to the side here and you can center it vertically and horizontally in the container, which is just like an easy way of saying it's in the middle of the screen. And once you do that, it's usually pretty centered. So if I open this and I like ran this on like an iPhone XR, and then I like change this all the way up here, and then I change this and ran it on like a 6, it usually, if I'm right, it should be in like the exact same spot. Oh, you can't. Oh, maybe you can. Let's see. There's a button. Oh, I think it just stopped running because I opened a new simulator.
Can actually go view back here.
Where are you looking?
And then go view as.
Oh, you're so right. I totally forgot about
I think
that.
you can add multiple of them and look at multiple at once.
You can, I think. Is there a way to do multiple? I've honestly never tried. I have no idea. But I mean, as I change the size, you can see it stays pretty center. And so, how do I, like, I think, like, one of the first things when I was learning Swift was, like, I was wondering, like, how do I get from putting a button on the screen to actually like using it in code and like implementing it. And so one of the big things with Storyboard, let me just close these because it's starting to like kill my computer. One of the first things with Storyboards is what they call like an Iboutlet. So you go up here and you hit these two circles, which is like an assistant editor, and this will pull up. Usually, I mean, it doesn't always work, but for this case it did. It pulls up the view controller associated with this storyboard icon. Let me just close some of this. And so what I can do is I can literally just, you can either do command and then drag, or just like 2 fingers and drag on the trackpad, and you can drag, what's the command? Control, thank you. And you can drag over what's called an Iboutlet into this area and name it. So I'm just going to call it button. All caps. And I can get a reference to this button on the storyboard, and then from here, I mean, you can really do whatever you want. I mean, you can name the button, you can do button dot, like background color, background image, no thanks, equals like I don't know, green or something, or orange, and then you can say like, you can rename it. You can say button dot set title is and you can do all these sorts of things. So this time when the program would load in this simulator, this would happen on start. So as soon as this view comes into the main scene, we can see what it's doing and see what it looks like. I probably shouldn't have closed this, but there you go. Now it's like an orange background and it looks really gross, but that's okay. So it's all well and good using Storyboard, especially for like really like when you're just like starting off and like learning how to like make apps and things like that. But as far as like real world, like as far as like large applications and like when like you're really working on a big project, storyboards can kind of get very compiler heavy, and they can really like slow down the compile like time it takes for your program to launch. And so that can really like have some drawbacks. I know for Ray's personally, we like, I don't know if you guys had them originally, but
yeah, we had 16 storyboards, and each took 5 seconds to compile.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the reasons why we switched to using programming.
Yeah.
So I just have a question real quick.
Yeah, of course.
How did you make that square color?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, so this is called this is like a part of Swift. This is really fun. It's called a color literal. And so it's just a UI color. So as opposed to doing the traditional like UI color, UI color dot, where is it? Yeah, like right here, red, white, and then you put in like the color ratios. You can do what's called like a color literal, and that's just the same thing, but it's sort of like a picture, and you can click on it, and you can change the color. And here you have a wheel. You can do hexadecimal, and so it does the same exact thing, but it's just a little cooler and easier to use.
Cool.
We have to do the same with images, I found out recently too. Although I think there's like weird support problems in Xcode, different versions.
They show like the picture of the image, but I can never. I
inherited a project where they were already in there,
Mhm.
and I could like see them, but I couldn't add. I couldn't change them. And, like, I looked it up, and it was like, yeah, that version of Xcode doesn't. You can view them, and I don't know.
That's
So,
that's awful.
yeah. It's there, but I'm not saying you should use it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, when you want to go to something like programming a button, it's very similar. I mean, this is the way I do it. You could do it differently. So this is a playground, and so if I'm just gonna like literally just change this so we can use it as like a view controller. And so if you ever want to do this is I use this for like UI sometimes. And so you import what's called playground support, and then you just make a new class, which is a view controller, and just UI. CU view controller. Bring this down, and then you just need 2 more lines, and you just say playground page dot current dot needs indefinite execution equals true, and then you say playground page dot current dot live view equals our view controller. And so now this is good to go, and we can put this in split view, and so now we can just add like an override func view did load. And just super dot view did load. And so then we can pretty much add anything we want in here. And so I'm gonna set the main view. So like we don't really have like a screen to work with right now. So I'm just gonna set that in code so we can just see what we're working with. So I can do like view.frame equals a CG rect, which is Apple's fancy way of saying like a rectangle, and we're just going to set like the bounds of that. So I want to start in the top left corner, so I'll say 0, 0, and then I'm going to have it go from like 350 pixels to like 600. And so then I'll just set a background color so you can see it.
Can you express that in a scale form?
You can. There's a way to do constraints in code as well. So you can do the same thing I was showing earlier, which is sorry, the same. Maybe I close it. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, you can do constraints right here, and there's actual ways to like really set them. I'm not really good at programmatic constraints, I'll be honest. But you can. I'm trying to think.
As constraints to activate, and
Yeah.
then pass them to random constraints.
Yeah.
Or well, there's like
No, you're totally right. And then you pass. It's like you pass in like a almost like an array. I think I have like some examples of that. But just for like time's sake, I'll just keep going with this. But so in a playground, you can just run this, and then we can see. So here's our view that we can work with, and then it's kind of like the same thing. So we can make another button, and we'll call it like let button equal UI button. And then from here we can just change the properties. So we'll say like the color background equals another. I'll change this to red, and then we'll say button dot. We'll have to set the frame too. We'll probably just do this a little higher. Frame equals CG. So there's actually like a nice way to do it. So you can do what's kind of nice is so now that we have the view instantiated, what I like to do here is to just do like the frame of the view, and so whoops, I'll be that to x, x, min x, min x, and view that balance. And then make like a height and width for the button, and then maybe like set a name for it. And then boom. So this is nice because it's all encoded, it's very visual, and you have like, it almost feels like you have a little bit more control over it, which I kind of like personally. Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot the last part, which is what you have to do is add it to the view itself. So you do view.add subview, and then your button, and then we should see it now. It's so small though that you can't actually see the coolest button, which is kind of a shame. But yeah. So I mean that's really like. So I guess the cool part about being able to do it programmatically is that like one, compile time goes way down, which is really nice. But like one of the drawbacks is that it's like not as visual. So like programming this is not as nice because you don't really get to. It's not as like you don't get to visualize it as nice as you do with storyboards. Because storyboards can really put things into place and see how they're gonna look before you actually before you actually run it and compile it and see what it looks like. And then for here, I just forgot to add like. It's not centered. If you're wondering why it's not centered, it's because I have to actually subtract it because I set it to the left and right of the middle, and then it just goes from that middle point to the right, but you have to like subtract the like actual width and height of it if you're wondering why that is like it is. So I think now it should be centered, kind of.
Yeah, it seems like you're replacing like X and Y, which are like the top left, at the center point of the view. So
Yeah.
it's growing from the center.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone want me to go over like anything else that they might be wondering or have questions about? I went through this faster than I thought I would. I'll be honest. But
And I'll just add that, like, from my experience of trying both, I definitely agree, like, the challenge is if you're not going off of, like, a mock or something, like, if you're just building UI off the top of your head, it's very difficult, like, to make your first prototype. But the huge advantage is the reusability, because if you, like, say you have, like, a type of button in your app, right, that always has, like, these 4 styles, you change that into a class, and now you just instantiate, like, button equals my button class. You don't have to do my button
Exactly.
and set, like, these same things every single
Yeah, exactly. It's so nice like that.
And a trick I learned recently from someone who's much smarter than me in his layouts is that apparently the trick to when you're doing programmatic layouts and you want to control auto layout yourself is there's a flag. It's like translates auto resizing like you know
Mhm.
it's like translates resizing like always set that to false if you're doing programmatic layout or just you'll have a bad time. And I didn't. I was like, all right, I'll take this at your word. And then one day I forgot, and I spent like 20 minutes debugging the layout problem, and then I was like, there it is.
Can you show that on the code here, the flag?
Yeah, like
Translate?
what is it? It's like
I just
It's
translate
yeah.
and you'll get the
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah.
it's like
It's one of those.
trans.
Oh no, sorry, it's like
Button
dot.
dot.
Oh yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure.
It's off
Translate.
of any like UI view subclass. That next.
So it's this, and I wonder. Let's see if
I don't
it's.
know. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's related to what you were.
Yeah, I don't know if exactly if
Probably
we
won't
see
do
it.
anything because you don't have any constraints.
That's what I was
actually.
thinking. Yeah. But those can definitely be annoying for sure.
So the reusability is like a huge.
Yeah. The other thing too is we're also in like playgrounds. I think this would make a bigger difference if we were in Xcode because we're building onto like a view that we created as opposed to like a preset iPhone simulator view. So it has a little bit of a difference. But it's that code is. I know too, like, because there's like suggestions down here, and it loves to just like make suggestions for you and add them and stuff. But it can definitely get very annoying very fast.
So yeah, I think that's one of the big benefit of the storyboard is the fact that the storyboard can kind of do things for you. With the programmatic layout, you're limited to what you type into the editor, right? Just like any other code base. But
Yeah.
the storyboard has this kind of scaffolding for you. It can add these constraints if you want them, but once you get into needing to manipulate a lot of different variables, it can get a little hidden.
If you do go the programmatic route though, there's a tool called Reveal that is like a debugger for auto layout. So it's like think of like like your Chrome Web Inspector where you can cover the DOM elements. It's like that, but for your interface. So like that'll save you.
Yeah, you can actually show the Xcode one right now if you run.
If I run this.
Yeah, the built-in Xcode one's actually pretty good, especially if you have a complicated kind of view hierarchy.
Yeah, I think it's
So it's gonna be
it's right here, right? Yeah, so you can look and see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reveal and I went straight to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like if I had more things here, I mean, I can probably open another project and
Yeah.
show it, which is a little nicer. But for this especially, like, I wonder if I have.
Yeah, this has about 90% of what Reveal has. Because I remember I was trying to do something with this and I wasn't getting something, so I downloaded Reveal, but it didn't solve the problem. But that's a really good tool.
Yeah. I was trying out Reveal, and I think Reveal had like a very fantastic feature of you could live edit your
Yeah,
view.
I think that's the one thing.
But
It's also a paid tool. So if you're desperate, use the 14 days.
I think this will build.
build your app in 14 days and it'll be fun.
Build it first, then debug
Yeah.
I'm just hoping this will build.
So what is this thing?
This is just another product. I actually haven't worked on this in a while. This was called. Oh wait. Oh, this is the wrong thing. I'm so sorry. I thought this was something else. This was a game we made for like Apple TV. That I made with some friends, but I thought it was another app, which was. No, I can't find it. That's depressing. I was just looking for like more like I had like hopefully like another project that had a lot more like stuff in it, so it'd be like cooler to visualize. I don't know if this will have anything. I don't think I can build this in. Yeah, I was hoping to find another project with like something to show that hierarchy like more in depth, because like it's not as nice when you just have one button on the screen, because it really does help a lot. And I think I was working on something with Jeremy the other day where like we were modally presenting something. We were presenting like a view on top of another view, and for the longest time I couldn't figure out why it wasn't showing up, because sometimes it would show up, sometimes it wouldn't. And after like debugging using the hierarchy view, Jeremy found out that it was just behind some like there was some pictures on some views, and it was just hidden behind the pictures. And I just had no idea the whole time. But like using that tool was like it would have been saved me like so much more time. But yeah, I don't
Because you
think
get the 3D.
definitely. But yeah, so that is that in a nutshell.
Great. Thanks, Sam.
No problem. Thank you.